Views and opinions therein do not represent those of NewsWeb Radio Company or its management.
Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive on WCPT Willow Springs is powered by ComEd. See how ComEd is preparing for a clean energy future at ComEd.com/cleanenergy.
The law office of Darnell Lyles is ready to help you. Whether it's personal injury, criminal, DUI, and OWI, nursing home, product liability, it doesn't matter. Call 219-939-9-LAW. That's 219-939-9529. That's right. When you're driving and get into a wreck,
you better call Darnell.
Had a few drinks too many? A cop hits you with a DUI or OWI?
I think you better call Darnell.
Arrested and facing criminal charges, misdemeanor or felony?
I think you better call Darnell.
Purchase a product that causes you or a loved one harm?
I think you better call Darnell.
When your loved one is neglected and abused in a nursing home?
I think you better call Darnell.
That's right, you better call Attorney Darnell Lyles and get represented right. And the first consultation is free. Yes, free. So call right now. 219-939-9LAW. That's 219-939-9529. Attorney Darnell Lyles. Darnell Lyles.
The IRS doesn't mess around. If they think you owe them money, they will take it. They can garnish your paycheck and seize your bank accounts too. So if you owe back taxes, call Covington Tax Solutions. They can save you thousands if you qualify. Call Covington Tax Solutions now for a free consultation. Call 872-257-4631. Call 872-257-4631.
Covington Tax Solutions.
The following program, The Family Meeting, is sponsored by Polaris Insurance Agency and Eric Grant, and to the extent of their guests. The views and opinions expressed therein do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of NewsWeb Radio Company or its management.
Hey, Chicago, this is motivational speaker and author William A. Edie II, author of the book Listen If You Want to Succeed, and I listen to The Family Meeting.
Hi, this is Valerie Simutis, and I am on the executive board for Women's March Illinois, and I listen to The Family Meeting.
Welcome to the World Headquarters of The Family Meeting. It's family meeting time, y'all. This is post-big football championship game family meeting that we get together today. I'm trying to put together the right phraseology.
Good, without having to hit that third wheel.
Okay, yeah. Y'all know how it works. Grab your phones, find us on social media, listen, I have one of those questions today.
Uh-oh.
And every time I seem to ask these questions,
you don't have like okay.
I got a question. I ask this question. I never seem to get an answer. I'm interested in getting the answer today.
Okay.
Find us on social media. Like, subscribe, and follow on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That's where the conversation is going when we're not here. Also visit our webpage, tfmradioshow.com. tfmradioshow.com. Archive broadcasts, music playlist, the live video of this broadcast. At least a link for it is there. Did I tell you to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well? Subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Do that.
Will you? It gives you a reminder when we're on the air. We're only on one day a week. You might as well get a reminder, right? It's not like it's ringing every day.
Plus, it's fun, and it's good for your health.
That's right. In the space shuttle cockpit controlling everything is our white slave, Devin. And it's especially nice to have a white slave during Black History Month.
I know.
Thank you very much.
Devin's at the top of the list, though, man.
Hey, man, you can become a patron of our broadcast. Keep us on the air. Go to that aforementioned website, tfmradioshow.com. Click the button, become a patron, and you can become a patron.
Right on.
Yeah, just like that. Little as $5 a month. The number is 773-763-9278. 773-927-8278. We got what happens to our social media, especially our Facebook page on Black History Month every year, and is we get real black. We get real black on our Facebook page. We're in the habit of pushing out with some regularity a lot of Black history stuff, little known Black history facts, obscure things you may or may not have known, that kind of thing. Some people may get tired of that.
Don't care.
I don't really care. It doesn't interest me because I find it interesting. A lot of it I knew already because I'm a black person. I knew it, but maybe y'all didn't know. I don't know if you find it interesting or not. But here again.
And a lot of times it's stuff that we know, but to see someone else, yet another person, it be revealed to that they go, oh my gosh, wow.
So I'm watching Reconstruction, Henry Louis Gates' piece on PBS. because I like to just arbitrarily make myself angry for no damn reason. Just like to do that.
That's his sadistic nature.
Yeah, sadistic in that regard, I guess. So it conjured up a question for me. Let me. And this is actually not about Black History Month.
So see, y'all. Let me just say this about E. Y'all don't really you see the camera, but that's only one dimensional relative to what I get to see, and the angst that this brother goes through as he hits the gas, hits the brake, hits the gas, hits the brake on how he versus what he can say, but damn what he wants to really say.
I mean, but does anybody even care? Really?
Sure they do.
No, there's. What Fannie Lou Hamer said, you get sick and tired of being sick and tired. And, you don't really do anything until you get sick and tired of being sick and tired.
True.
And so to the extent these things persist, you don't really care.
Yeah, until it becomes inconvenient. The inconvenience is...
because this country can't be inconvenienced for anything. Not for a minute.
No.
You can't have... If somebody's murdered in the streets and that causes traffic, y'all going to make me late.
Right.
It's an inconvenience.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of the person who got murdered. And the reason they're protesting. So that aside, my grandfather told me a story one time when he was a youngster. I think my grandfather was born in 1915. So he lived through the Depression in Northport, Alabama, which is next to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And it's the city-ish town. When you went to Northport, you were going to town.
Right.
Back in the day, Andy and them go to town. We're going to go to town tonight. We can go to town.
Oh, God.
So he lived in town. My grandmother was a country girl. She lived out in Tuscaloosa County.
Right.
So my grandfather told me, and it was segregated, right? Mm-hmm. You had black neighborhoods. So you were relegated to certain neighborhoods, and most often they were under-resourced. Mm-hmm. You didn't have a lot of amenities.
They were all under-resourced because it's always based on not just the need, but the relevance.
Yeah.
They were all under-resourced.
Like when my grandmother lived out in the country, when there was heavy rain and there was going to be floods, they would create a dam that would flood their land.
Right. So
to protect all the white folks' land.
Right.
Right. Because it didn't matter what happened to black folks. It just didn't matter. So, the law didn't matter. The law did not enforce
its own self.
Well, not just that. The law didn't enforce infractions for everybody.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
If a white man was killed, the law would jump in and would exact punishment on somebody. Mm-hmm. But if a black man was killed, that's just another.
If we get around to it.
Right. So you got to think back to how it is. And I don't know that people can really appreciate how that represents living in a terrorist state, where you better not say nothing. If somehow or another you came up missing or you were harmed, there was no authority that was going to do anything about it, and you couldn't either, because if you did, then the law would kick in. Mm-hmm. So my grandfather, born in 1915, went through the Depression, of course, living in rural Alabama. Black people then, because of because of how they had to create food for themselves, because of the inability for them to get good food, they would have gardens and grow their own food, and they basically was self-sustaining. And so you could imagine in the Depression times, if you had a white family who was not as industrious, who was unable to create a living well enough to buy food, and too stupid or lazy or unable to grow their own food during the Depression, they were in a bad way. So my grandfather told me stories, and I don't know if I should say I wish I'd appreciated it when he told me this, because appreciated is the wrong word. But he would tell me stories of how these poor, lazy, ineffective white folks would just come to the house, open the door around dinner time, and take their food. Just come, because there was the Depression. They didn't have resources. Nobody had resources. These were poor white folks who would just come take the food. And there was nothing that they could do about it.
And neither, as much as they wanted to. My father and your grandfather would have been contemporaries, because my dad was born in 1918. Okay. My father tells similar stories where they would harvest and, be wanting to take stuff into market, and what they would harvest had to be shared with a family down the road that didn't have the capacity, the ability, the wherewithal up here and here to do the work. They weren't agrarian enough, so they got to share in the, they didn't.
So did he voluntarily share, or did they just come take his food?
They wouldn't come take his food, but they would come onto the property, and they would, go to my grandfather, and Daddy would say the next thing he knew, he'd get the, signal to bring something over to these people.
So he was being generous.
They were being, yeah.
This was folks just coming to the door and just coming in and taking the food, and daring you to be upset about it, let alone do something about it. Your mama done cooked up a whole dinner for all of us to eat, and y'all just come in and take the food. Done took our pots too. Wow. And my grandfather described it, and this was late in his life, of course. He described it just being a thing that happened all the time, and how his look on his father's face, where his dignity was impacted.
How did it impact you the first couple of times you heard that story or stories like that?
I only heard it once.
Okay.
I only heard it once.
Okay.
But I didn't really mean anything because I was young then. I was probably mid-20s, and I was like, "Oh, wow, that's bad." But you never really think about the atrocities, the dignity that was taken from people then. But more importantly, my point is not necessarily what happened; it's the authorities' lack of willingness to make it fair for everybody.
Well, do you think it was even a thing of willingness and more a thing of? I think willingness means that they had a capacity. They had a.
No. It was the practice of the time.
Yeah.
That if black people did not enjoy the law acting on their behalf when they were wrong, that's the reality of that thing. There were certain people in society then who could get away with stuff by tradition.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And ineffectual laws or enforcing of the laws.
Right. Because you didn't matter. You don't matter.
Yeah.
So this week, the question that I saw asked most often on television, the various newscasts, is will this imbecile that was formerly in the White House, will he be indicted? They're asking this all week long.
That's horrible. Why they're asking that?
They're asking.
Yes.
Hey, welcome, Michelle.
Thank you.
They're asking, will he be indicted? And I keep screaming to myself, no, no. Where y'all been all this time? Don't you know that this society does not? The only people the people who are indicted in this society, who are jailed or that law enforcement punishes, are black people and poor people. And the only reason that I delineate black people
in that order,
the only reason I delineate black people is because you can be a wealthy black person and the law is still going to get you.
Yeah.
But if you're a wealthy white person, probably not. And if they do indict a wealthy white person, it is because society has risen up and the system has to sacrifice somebody to keep everybody down.
Well, here's a good example.
And to keep everybody cool about it.
Right.
And I didn't know that you were going to go this direction or talk about it, but I had an inkling that there might be something in your craw about it. Hey, Michelle.
Hey, everybody.
But here's the thing, E, to your point. So during the course of the week, I kept asking myself, Michelle, I said, so where are we going? Are we going to touch on this? Because the way I see it, the justice system did what it did for white men in droves this week. First of all, Mike Pence says, oh, no, I'm going to fight this, and I'm entitled to fight this because I'm Mike. Okay, let's just be honest. He's
not going to respond to a subpoena.
Right, because he's going to use executive white boy privilege. That's what it came down to. 45, Fonnie Willis has asked the judge, can you kind of keep your mouth shut? We'll talk about what we got in the book. Just keep it tight. The judge wants to be, once again, the one to tip the scale, tip the hand for yet another white man, 45. So they release a little bit of the information.
Because there's community pressure.
Right. Okay. So that's second time that a white man gets to use the legal system to their full advantage. And then the third is Matt Gaetz. This punk big ski forehead fool. Something went down, but because the Justice Department says, well, the witnesses aren't quite credible enough. We can't thread the needle with them. They're going to find they can't prosecute him. Yeah. Three times in less than 7 days, because it's been 7 days since we were here last.
Because that's the point I want to make is that the system is not structured to hold wealthy or influential white men accountable.
Or, in my opinion, not even that anymore. I mean, it's now spread itself to just look at how long it took for the cops who killed George Floyd. Look how long it took for them to even get arrested.
Compared to the 5 that just got arrested.
And video is there to say they all messed up in a major way. But in a matter of weeks, these brothers, and they should be. I'm not saying they shouldn't be. So nobody call in and say Richard's saying that they should be let off. No. I'm saying the justice system, even when it comes to a non-rich white dude in America, says, well, we're going to slow.
A cop fits into the category. I mean, there are asterisks of that society.
But then here's the thing, to Eric's point always, why does it have to be an asterisk? What are the rules?
Yeah, so that's what makes our society so uneven now, is that you never know the rules.
Yeah.
They don't seem to apply evenly, and when you got somebody on the rules, it just changes the rules.
And if anybody wants to...
And it makes it impossible, it makes it virtually impossible to try to figure out how to sustain yourself in a society when you do that. And so what's idiotic about what the news is asking is, will he be indicted? Nobody wants to talk about the thing. That the system doesn't do that.
Here's the media's dropping the ball. Why don't they, rather than ask, will he be indicted, ask the question, why hasn't he been indicted? Why haven't they been indicted? Ask that question, because then that question, Eric, you talk about this all the time. Ask better questions, give better answers.
Yeah, but if you're talking about them asking the question, they're not going to ask the question. That's what keeps the process going.
Or if they ask it, then they're going to let them skip over the answer and not get back to it.
Right, and they won't give a clear answer on the real problem to why they are not indicted.
Because
the police.
We watched all this stuff happen in front of us.
Yeah.
We watched it all happen in front of us.
Their own selves. And lawyers don't write rules to put their own behinds in jail.
You watched it happen. You heard him say things. And they still can't find a way to indict him. And I'm trying to tell you that the reason is because the system doesn't do that.
Nope.
It just doesn't do that.
I mean, how does...
What it'll do, though, is it'll take people like Michael Cohen and serve him up. Right? And then hopefully that satisfies the fervor out there. But it won't... Not him.
It's like the woman...
It'll never happen.
It's like the white woman cop who shot... Two different white women that have killed 2 different black men in the last 4 or 5 years, and I can't remember their names. But in each case, Eric said the same thing. We all agreed. They're going to get served up because it will allow people's short memories to go, well, they got one of them, and that's a white woman, and, whatever, so let's just go ahead and serve her up. That's what happened.
You're talking about the cop who shot the kid in his apartment?
And then the brother who got shot in Tulsa back in 2016 or 17. Yeah. When he was going back to his car. Y'all remember, he was in a white SUV, and anyhow, it's not designed. I was thinking about this week, how many times this week we all had to stop and say, why is this even under debate or question any longer? Because people are not paying attention to the answers that we've given.
I was reading about the woman in Mississippi who claimed that Emmett Till whistled at her.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to arrest her.
No,
they'll never do that.
No, because the excuse is, well, she's older now, and she's sick. She's sick. She served her penance. No, they served her penance.
No, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So y'all need to stop that and ask the question Rich is talking about: is why not? But let's stop with the will he be indicted piece, and let's go on to why won't he be indicted? Because he won't. They just won't do it. That's not how it works.
It's a better question.
Right. We know that. We live that every day. We know, even right now, while it ain't like when my grandfather was a child, it ain't the same as that. But we know if a white man harms me, that's a long fight for me to get some sort of indemnification from him.
Mm-hmm. So
but if I did it to him,
it's immediate.
They gonna lock my ass up.
But here's the thing. This is why it's not any different, because it is the fact that we're having that. It's still the same. It's just a different venue. They're not gonna walk into our crib and take our food off the table.
The number 773-763-9278. Stay tuned for more of the family meeting.
This is Sue Myers, founder of Indivisible South Suburban Chicago. Keep listening to the family meeting.
Hey, family meeting cousins. As you know, we've created a Patreon family meeting subscription and membership page to include you great listeners in our effort and give you a chance to very economically promote your business, organization, or local event. You can contribute as little as $5 per month to get your message out and support the family meeting as a viable voice. We know you appreciate our permanent interest dialogue, get up and dance playlist, and our great guests who stop by. So become a cousin and go to our website, thefamilymeeting.com, and click on the link.
We can count on Paul Vallis. When Paul Vallis was CEO of Chicago Public Schools, he revitalized our neighborhood schools. No one delivered more for our underserved young people than Paul Vallis. As mayor, Paul Vallis will ensure that communities long neglected get a fair share of city investment, attracting the grocery stores we need, improving sanitation, and other city services in our neighborhoods. Vote Paul Vallis, a mayor for all of us. Paid for by Vallis for Mayor.
A basic and essential part of any financial plan is savings. Most of whatever cash you have will be there because you put it there, not necessarily because of some fancy investment. Now with Save and Plan, Polaris has introduced a way for you to get empowering financial advice. Save and Plan is simple. Just sign up to save on a systematic monthly basis directly from your account and gain access to a planner and our planning services. Once you sign up to save, Polaris will help you develop a customized financial plan and give you a real person to speak with. Your dedicated planner is just an email or phone call away. Save and Plan offers empowering advice for everyone. Visit us at polarisadvice.com and call us today at 312-951-2606 or email us at polarisadvice.com. That's 312-951-2606 or email us at polarisadvice.com. Save and Plan, empowering advice for everyone.
Securities offered through Lion Street Financial LLC, member FINRA, and SIPC. Investment advisor services offered through Lion Street Advisors LLC, registered investment advisors. Polaris Wealth Management and Lion Street Financial are not affiliated.
This is Abdel Shakur, Mr. Know-It-All. Welcome back to the family meeting.
773-763-9278. It's the Isley guys.
Yeah.
Wish I knew about that, man. That's that heavy duty
R&B funk.
You know, I never understood why these songs in these Isley Brothers albums, at least this one at least, they called it parts 1 and 2.
Yeah.
There was always like one long song.
Yeah.
It was like they recorded twice and they pushed it together in the computer. I don't know what they did.
Well, I always got the impression that they because if you listen to those, they're like 7-minute long songs in many cases, certainly 6.
This one's 5 here. But
okay.
They say it's part 1 and 2 together.
Yeah. Well, I think some of it was just marketing.
Okay.
But because if you listen to the song, there isn't a excuse me, there isn't a definitive like transition.
No, there's no break. I know some songs that have a break in them, but this one in particular doesn't. Hey, listen, let me go ahead and ask my question, but let me tell you what I'm reading now.
Okay.
I'm reading Maurice White's book.
Really?
Yeah, it's his biography. I got to look at the name of it. My Life with Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Wow.
Yeah, it's hot, man. It was hot.
What makes it hot?
He was a deeply thought guy, and with a really kind of muddied past. It's part of the reason that I was thinking about this week, because he talks about being a youngster in Memphis and having a paper route. And his paper route traversed both neighborhoods, black neighborhood and white neighborhood. And this is in the 50s or something. He had to be 12, 13 years old. And, you know what happens. You get in the white neighborhood, and so the cops, the authorities, the people that are supposed to protect you, saw him and asked him, hey, boy, what are you doing? You know what happens when they do that. And he said, I'm just, delivering papers. Can't you see I got papers?
Right.
I'm delivering papers.
Bag over here.
What you think I'm doing, fool? Papers. But he didn't say that, of course.
But that's what he felt.
Yeah, but I'm delivering papers. And he said, we're going to teach you a lesson. They just got out of the car and beat him up. Just beat him up. He said they drove away laughing. And he said he's never been able to deal with cops since.
Yeah.
Never has. Okay, well, those are just the bad ones. The majority of the other cops are great. This ain't about cops today. It's just about the system not responding to certain people.
And their behavior.
And not indicting.
And them not seeing us as valuable. Valuable.
And I even put black people in the category because black people is more expansive. This is the same thing that poor white people enjoy too. So it's poor white people and black people, rich and poor, that the system indicts. Rich white man? Rich white women? No, you better not. No.
No, and to a great extent, middle class white women experience the same luxury. And this is the thing that I've talked about from right up close and personal, that I won't say I criticize, but I often remind white women that I know personally and professionally that if you want to see change, you've got to unhinge yourself from the need to be connected to the patriarchy. Because until you do that, and Dr. Sharon Bethea talked about this too, until you do that, you won't be free either, because you still are tied to the patriarchy. And I don't really care the response I get, because I've witnessed it up close and personal.
Well, but what I want to make sure I focus on, because we can dive into the system real heavy, and we can get way off track. It's just the notion that you have a former president who will not be indicted, despite all that you've seen. And I know people who are not fans of his, who feel some kind of way, who are asking the question, why hasn't he been indicted? And when are we going to indict him, or blah blah blah. This is you seeing what we've been talking about. The system responds to certain people certain kind of way, and what you're experiencing is a system not responding like you think it should.
Well,
any notion you have about them indicting that man, I mean, you're the fool.
And we can be
unless, of course, let me say this, unless, of course, it's Fonnie Willis or Tish James.
Well, but see,
because you let a couple of black women in the system. You let them in, and they are hell bent on doing something about that. Now, keep in mind that the federal government has procedures. They have maneuvers that they can. The Department of Justice has maneuvers where they can lift that case out of the state, or I think they call it emerging the cases. That means that your boy
Merrick Garland,
he'll have it.
Well, and that's my concern. Everybody's all getting geeked.
He's not going to do nothing with it.
No, well,
especially as it gets further into the presidential election season.
It will dilute it if that happens, and I'm not going to be surprised, because here's what people don't know about Merrick Garland. First of all, Merrick Garland's not really a prosecutor. He was a judge. That's really where he cut his teeth. And
he was a prosecutor for a minute.
Okay, about as long as you and I have been prosecutors.
Yeah, it's about that long.
About that long. So Michelle, check this out. Many people don't know. In fact, most people don't know that Merrick Garland did some time illegally with the Federalist Society. I mean, how in the hell is that
dude? They're picking right-wing judges.
Going to prosecute a dude who?
He's not. He's not. But it doesn't even matter, because he understands the system, and the system doesn't do that, or finds it really difficult to do that. That's why it's taking them so long, because they can't figure out. this feels awkward to them.
Yeah,
because the system doesn't normally do this.
This whole thing about, you don't take a shot at the king unless you have all your ducks in order, that's a bunch of BS. I mean, they've taken shots at folks with far less information and data and certainly legal.
So wait a minute, let me ask my question though.
Yeah,
because I've been meaning to get to that. The question is, what are you going to do when you finally determine that they are not going to indict him? What happens if they have the press conference and tell you we've decided not to indict him? What then will you do? What will you do then? You going to go out and turn some cars over and burn some things down? What are you going to do?
Get that plan together now.
Yeah, I mean, you going to vote? You're going to go vote?
So we need to segment the question, who the question is presented to.
That's to everybody. It's to everybody.
Okay.
Everybody, what you going to do?
All right.
Because I think the disparate answers are going to be as interesting as the answers, period.
Yeah, true.
Well, I always ask, what are we going to do about it? Because that's the main thing. Is like, what are we going to do about it? That's the question that needs to be answered.
Well,
because
the about it part I have trouble with because I don't know that there is something you can do about it.
That we can even do about it.
Right. Well, what are you going to do, though?
But what are you going to do? I got it.
Right. Okay. You're going to be upset.
You're going to cry.
You're going to throw your hands up and say, it's all rigged. It's all rigged.
I'm going to move to a different country. What?
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
Yeah. What's your next step when they don't indict, but they say we're not going to? There's a difference between sort of continuing to let it to slide and sort of drift away, and then them drawing a line of demarcation saying, no, we're not going to touch it.
Right. As an adjunct question, I know people are asking, what's taking so long? You saw it. You watched the bank robbery. He took his mask off and showed you who he was and raised his hand and said, hey, it's me.
And my
I'm robbing
address
banks.
is.
Right. My address and phone number is.
Right here.
Right.
My email, social media accounts.
You saw
here.
it happen.
Right.
And still they're wringing their hands and clutching their pearls like, we got to figure this out.
What was it, the Spike Lee movie with Denzel and Shedikor Ejiofor where there's a bank robbery, Inside Man.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I just robbed your bank. And I'm hanging out inside. What you gonna do?
Yeah, we saw it.
Yeah,
in person.
Right, real time.
Right,
actually, real time.
Right.
Same question.
Real time.
What you gonna do?
It wasn't Memorex. It was real time.
Right. We saw him send those people down to the Capitol. We saw him do that.
Yeah, and that.
And here's the other part about it. So
and make the phone call.
Here's the other part about it is,
and go out and talk to them.
Here's the other part. So y'all may have seen on the news this week that Fox News is in the crosshairs of the Justice Department because they have communications where they have been talking about not believing that the election was stolen, but doing it anyway, but talking about it as if they believed it anyway. And so the only media outlet not talking about Fox News being hypocritical is Fox News.
Right. Well, and here's what's crazy about it. I wonder.
Wait a minute. They're not going to be indicted either.
No, they're
nothing
not
will
going to
happen. I mean, they may lose the suit for $1.6 billion. They may lose that. But so did that imbecile, that big thick-neck dude, Alex Jones.
Yeah.
He got $1 billion. He's still doing the same thing he's always been doing.
Still talking trash, still doing the same
thing. He ain't writing no
thing.
checks for $1 billion.
No. And now he's holding the guns of the people that were part of the insurrection. He's keeping their guns.
He's the gun holder.
The system does not do anything with people like that.
No. And
so what are you going to do?
And here's the cool thing about it, but to Eric's point, is the owner of Fox News isn't even a natural born American citizen.
He's an alien.
He's an alien. And y'all gonna protect his ass. I wonder why.
Let me get some calls here, man, because I didn't got me wound up. Let me get Dave in Hoffman Estates. Hey, Dave, what's new, man?
Hey, Eric. Hey, did you check out that email?
Oh, I'm sorry, man. I was busy week this week, man, in addition to almost having a car accident, by the way.
Oh.
I'll take a look at it tonight, I promise you.
All right, no problem. I think you might find that interesting. But like you're talking about with Trump and all of that, how is it Michael Cohen had to do time for doing Trump's dirty work?
That's what the system does. It serves up somebody to hopefully to satisfy you, so you go away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he's been 16 times, giving all kinds of info for the New York AG or whatever, and it's like I don't know what does it, how much does he have to do?
So what are you going to do when you find out that Trump won't be indicted? What are you going to do?
Pardon? What am I going to do?
What are you going to do when you find out Trump won't be indicted? What will you do?
I won't be surprised. What can you do?
That's the won't part. What about the will part?
You want us to go storm the Supreme Court building?
Oh, no. That's not going to work for us.
I ain't with you on that, man.
It's done, you know.
We're going down fast. Matter of fact, we might not make it off grounds.
Yeah. But, hey, did you happen to see in Georgia earlier this week where a story where the Republican Senate there, that they're all gung-ho about getting a statue for Clarence Thomas?
Yeah, I saw that.
They got the majority, you know, the state senators, 32-20 or whatever. And the Democrats, you know, they had suggested to put one for John Lewis. And, of course, that was shot down by the Republicans. They didn't go for it. And
one of the state senators called Clarence Thomas an Uncle Tom on the floor.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
I think on that statue, are they going to have Ginny Thomas, you know, whispering in his ear?
That's a good idea. That's a little abstract art. I got it. Yeah, there you go, man. That's what they should do.
That would freak a person out and doing.
Well, they're used to sticking up statues to people like that, man, down there. So I'm not surprised.
Yeah. And also in Georgia, the sad news with former President Carter, you know, choosing to do hospice at home. You know? Yeah. And he was, you know, the first one that I voted for, and then I served in the military for this man, and he probably was the last honest president we had. Like that time after the Desert One fiasco, when he was trying to get the hostages back, and it was back when the Air Force and the Army and the Marines, nobody talked to each other. They stovepipe information, and he changed that because of that. And he's the one that said, it stops here. It was me. I screwed up. He wasn't pointing at the generals and, you know, having scapegoats.
Yeah. Reagan interjected himself in that whole process, too, which really muddied the water.
As did Bush 1. Yep.
They had, with Reagan, they had, with the Iranians, to make sure that they were not going to release them under Jimmy Carter.
Right.
They were so mad at him for what he did with the Shah of Iran and that, and they waited to see the results or whatever that Carter had lost. And then they released him, but you know what? He had, to the last minute that he could do it, he was on the phone trying to negotiate freedom for them, and he met the plane in Wiesbaden, Germany, when these guys got released.
Yeah, very honorable man. Has lived a tremendous life. Arguably much more productive than any post-president in the history of the country.
Oh, God, yeah. He wasn't going for honorariums and stuff like that. He was helping with Habitat for Humanity and stuff like that, and help free, you know, people, I think like in Korea one time or something. And he got a Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, he actually earned that one, you know.
He did,
he wasn't giving it to kind of slight another president, you know. So
that's right. That's right.
Anyway, let me clear out so we get to the others, guys.
Okay. Thanks, Dave. Be well, man.
Thanks, Dave.
All right.
Okay.
Be well, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I really want to answer the question today, man. I do.
What y'all gonna do?
What you gonna do
when they have the news conference or whatever, press conference, to say, well, we've decided that after looking at all the evidence that it's probably not prudent for the American people.
What the hell evidence are you looking at?
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's not prudent for us to go any further with the prosecution of
this is so live that I think that they won't even say anything. They just won't do it. They'll just wait out.
Yeah.
Just hopefully we'll forget about it.
Just wait out. Yeah. I mean, let the dude run for president and do all he's going to do. I mean, because it's, you know, in their minds, it's awkward to have a presidential candidate under indictment. But
how does it even happen?
But here again, what are the rules? I mean,
they're making them as they go.
Right. So does that mean if you happen to be left-handed, did you know what?
Well, see,
we aren't prosecuting left-handers on Tuesdays, so we can't. Is that the new rule? What's the rule?
Well, that's the reason that there isn't a rule that they want to apply, because then they've got precedent. They're using this sort of what's the word, memos floating around the Justice Department that say, well, you know, we've never done this before. We don't have any precedent of ever. And Mike Pence using that weak behind, you know, rationale. You know,
he's trying to play both ends, man.
Sure he is. That's what.
But he's another one. They won't indict him. Not that he's at risk of it, but you got Giuliani. You got a whole bunch of people that are are probably lying. What's the senator, the little gay senator from South Carolina? Lindsey Graham.
Lindsey Graham.
Yeah, they're not going to indict him either. They're not going to do that.
And then Bill Barr. That information that came out on what they did in Italy.
I mean, just think about how they might be thinking about it. Even if they wanted to indict all these people, they do it at the same time, or would they do it one by one? Because if they did it at the same time, then what would happen? All these offices would be open and just be mayhem.
They wouldn't do it. They just wouldn't do it.
And that's probably one of the reasons why they won't.
And the people who are
Outside
at
of the
risk
other
right now
reasons.
know they won't do it.
Right.
They know that. That's why they can act the way they do.
That's it.
Right. You saw.
773-763-9278. Stay tuned for more of the family meeting.
I'll be gone, I believe. I believe. Yes, I believe. I say I believe right now. I believe. Yes, I believe. Well, I believe in my soul now. You're trying to make a fool of me. I believe it.
This is Miss Lady B from Dance Factory Radio. Keep listening to the family meeting.
Yeah, with your head so hard, I think I'm gonna have to use my rod, 'cause I believe.
The reason that it's important to advertise on the family meeting is that we have an economical way of reaching a great audience. One could say it's not cheap, but what we like to say is that it's an effective buy for a business or an individual who wants to reach a quality audience. The reason that it's important or a good place to advertise is that our cousins love to patronize. I'm Richard Chu, also known as Bad, the Black Asian dude with the family meeting. For more information on advertising on the family meeting, you can reach us at info@tfmradioshow.com. That's info@tfmradioshow.com. You can also contact us at area code 708-794-6444, 708-794-6444.
Do you have a pain that won't cease? A health issue that's not getting better? It may be time you visited Health on Earth Wellness Centers. With over 20 years experience, 4 Chicagoland locations, and patients that range from 2 months old to 93, Health on Earth Wellness Centers are fully prepared to meet all your chiropractic needs. We have state-of-the-art facilities in Crestwood, Tinley Park, the South Loop, and Naperville. Don't let being healthy be your last resort. Make it your first choice. Make an appointment today at healthonearth.org. That's healthonearth.org.
A 2016 study estimates that 13.1 million Americans were victims of identity theft that year. Fight back against identity theft by signing up for Identity Guard. Identity Guard monitors your credit and identity information with alerts that can help you respond quickly if certain changes indicating fraudulent activity are detected, as well as help protect your computer from viruses, keylogging, and other serious threats. Plus, with Identity Guard's dynamic credit management resources and tools, you will have helpful information as you make better financial and credit decisions. Identity Guard includes $1 million identity theft insurance and lost wallet protection, and more if you ever do become a victim. Protect your ID by visiting lookaftermyid.com. That's lookaftermyid.com to securely sign up for Identity Guard today.
Sometimes I shave my legs and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I comb my hair and sometimes I won't. Depending on how the wind blows, I might even paint my toes. It really just depends on whatever feels good in my soul.
I'm Alicia Stewart. Check me out on Twitter at Alicia Stew, ALICIASTEW. Welcome back to the family meeting.
773-763-9278. 773-763-9278. So what you gonna do, man? What you gonna do? Right? As soon as you understand and you finally understand and believe that they'll never indict that man. And listen, let me say this too. I am happy to be wrong. I'm happy for you to come to me and say, nah, boo-boo, you were wrong. I'm happy for that.
Yeah, me too.
Right, because I think he should be.
But in the meantime, I'm hanging out a shingle for all the progressives who are going to be, going out of their mind, suicidal, because they don't. I'm going to hang out a shingle, Michelle. So y'all come on through so I can counsel you on how to deal with, the inconvenient truth of the fact that your boy, all the energy y'all put toward this didn't happen because you don't really understand and didn't listen to us when we told you the system isn't built for it.
No.
So come on in and write me that check for $1,000 an hour so I can counsel you on this.
Yeah, but practice the nana boo-boos because it might be necessary.
And that's okay.
Yeah. Right. Because Fonnie Willis, she ain't going to stop.
Well, that's different.
And she might, but I have a suspicion that your boy's going to take it from her.
I think so. And
Tish James's case in New York is largely a civil case. It's just money.
It's money. And he's going to just, ask his boys in the gulag to send him some more money.
Yeah. He already lost $25 million or so from the Trump University thing, and then, he's going to lose some. He lost another one recently, too. He's got this, anyway. He'll lose money on that one, but he ain't going to jail.
No.
Right. He don't care about that. He'll just get it from the Russians and give it to her.
That's what he's going to do.
Right.
Y'all got to understand that. We've been trying to tell you. Eric said this, I guess, got to believe it was February 2017, Michelle, after, old boy gets inaugurated. Eric said, look, I know y'all upset, blah, blah, blah. I know this whole thing about Russia colluded with him and blah, blah, blah. He said, but listen, this is going to drag itself out. He said he will die before he gets prosecuted and put in jail for any of the stuff that they're accusing him. This was in early 17, Michelle. So now here we are 6 years later, and there's there's a Mount Everest amount of stuff, and they still haven't indicted him.
He did it in front of you.
And the majority of it that we've known since he has become a political operative was done in front of us.
They say, we have to think about it. We have to build our case. We have to investigate. That's the word all the time.
Yeah.
We have to investigate. We're in the middle of an investigation.
And then after time has gone by, people go, well, wait a minute. You've been looking at, we got to further investigate because some new evidence has popped up.
Yeah, but wait a minute. We got to investigate the investigating.
Right, and now we got to investigate the investigators.
Yeah.
And then and then the people, and then Michelle, and then the people who did the investigating of the investigators, we want to pull them into a hearing because we want to see,
just drag it out and hope y'all forget about it.
Yeah,
and if it gets tight on them, they're going to find some lackey that they're going to light him up, like that Greek dude they lit up.
Antonopoulos,
something like that. Yeah.
He just served coffee. I don't know him.
He's coffee boy. Whatever, man. Let me get Jim calling from Chicago. Hey, Jim, what's new, man?
Hi, how are you?
Fantastic.
I was going to start. I was getting my fingerprinting kit that I got for Christmas. I can't find it around here somewhere. I got to start investigating everybody myself. I just want to say that. I just want to say a couple of things. Clarence Darrow was a great Chicago lawyer, and they asked him one day about justice. He goes, "There certainly is no justice in the courtroom, and I can tell you there's no justice out of it." Then you've got Dershowitz, who's turned into a Republican mouthpiece. He said years ago that American justice for rent, for sale, for barter, we all know that it's a 2-3-tier system. But I was going to say that here's the conundrum that the Republicans have. They know that Trump, and the betting services, Trump is like a 1-9 shot, a very extremely heavy favorite to win the Republican nomination. But, and in general with Biden, he's 4-1 to lose. So they know that. So they're trapped. They're really trapped. And their really only hope is DeSantis. That's really their only hope because that tightens it up and up. And the big money will go behind DeSantis eventually. But you saw what happened last week. Trump attacked DeSantis as being a pedophile, that he was drinking with underage girls. I mean, Trump will go to any extreme to keep his position in that in the field. So those two are going to eventually. DeSantis is going to have to come out and say Trump is an election denier, which we all know, and that he incited a riot, and he blemished the presidency forever. But that's going to happen in the future, but I have no idea. And you guys have a great show and a great weekend, and thanks a million.
Thanks, Jim. Be well, man. Yeah, that's going to be fun to watch, man, because he's going to run, and if he loses, Oh man, he's gonna start throwing bricks.
That's why I kind of hope
he'll probably turn around and run as an independent.
He does that before he even loses. He does it all the way through. The minute that he started running for president, I saw that in him, and I don't know why others didn't. I mean, it didn't matter to some folks, and that's how he got into office.
I hope that DeSantis. This is my hope
crazy.
is that DeSantis gets the nomination, and then Trump runs the third party, and just to watch the doo-doo flying.
Yeah, 'cause he's gonna throw some.
It's just gonna be
like
it's gonna be like monkeys at the zoo.
Yeah,
right.
flinging.
That's what I hope happens.
Flinging.
That's how monkeys do it.
And they throw it. They throw it when they don't look at you. They don't look at you when they throw it either. No. They throw it with their backs towards you.
Right, they just reach up and
fling it. They ain't turning around. They don't even look at you when they throw it.
That's what I hope happens. That DeSantis gets the nomination and 45 runs as a third-party candidate. That'll be worth the popcorn.
Oh yeah, that'd be.
It'd be worth it because it'll be to watch the heads come off of the entire Republican Party, both those who are calling themselves regular Republicans that want to follow DeSantis, and he sure as hell ain't regular, and those who want to, with his short arms and ill-fitting suits. You ever seen it? Right? You ever seen it?
Like a pterodactyl. Short baby arms.
Oh, man.
Baby arms on a man body.
Rex.
Oh, my gosh. That dude, I'm sorry. We don't body shame, but damn. See, he brought that on him because he acted like a damn fool. Sorry.
Let me get Eduardo calling himself from the side. Eduardo, man, what's happening?
Hey, excuse the noise in the background. I'm heading in from the auto show. Wanted to change the topic a little bit here. You know, they talk about.
When did you become a host, man? When did you become a radio host? How you get to change the topic, man? When did that happen?
Hey, you got a 2-hour show. You got plenty of time for multiple topics here.
Oh, what are you, a timekeeper now? You get to decide how much time we have, too?
Got to start.
Eduardo, man, he's a little bossy somebody, man.
This came from the auto show. Now he's like, yeah.
Before we go to news break, so I think I'm fine. But quickly, they talk about the young people having mental disorders, but you had the guy in Michigan, and then check this out, because you're going to like this. The Julie Bandera, she's a Fox host. She publicly announced a divorce on the air. And recently, her ex-husband put a knife on her throat because she ate the food that was going to be served for their kids. So it's not just the young males; it's also adult males.
So you're saying everybody's going crazy? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to make sure you're clear.
Young men, it's adult males too. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're saying so what he's saying is Eduardo's saying everybody's going crazy.
They lost their damn mind.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Except you, of course.
Yeah, I'm the same one.
So wait a minute. Let me tell you something about being sane. One of the key attributes of somebody who's insane is that they don't know they're insane. Where's that put you, Eduardo?
Wow.
Eduardo. Hey, I agree with you, man. The whole world's going crazy for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah.
Maybe it's dietary. I don't know.
The air we're breathing in, maybe.
It's COVID.
A little
the
bit.
air.
Blame it on COVID-19.
The air, the diet.
The first strand.
Yeah. How about the fact that they won't indict rich white guys? How about that?
Can't do it.
Yeah, but now I heard a story this morning where hopefully this is going to be happening in every company, where every employee gets a share of the company. How about that? What do you think of that idea?
It's not a bad idea. I mean, it actually is a technical definition of socialism, but yeah, that's cool. No, I like that. I mean, socialism ain't all bad.
Yeah.
There's some aspects of it that are good. That might be one of them. I mean, it happens in employee stock ownership programs, ESOPs, all the time. So, yeah, I like that. Yeah. I like that, man.
There you go.
Man. Hey, man, how was the auto show, by the way? How was the auto show?
Packed. Definitely packed. It was good. Yeah.
See anything interesting?
No, but I'm waiting for the letter on my Kia because they're going to be putting those immobilizers so they can't be easily stolen.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't take it in until I get that letter in the mail.
Okay.
So it'll come, but by summer I think I'm going to be ready to go.
Okay. All right, well, good luck with that, man. Hey, man, good to hear from you, man.
Right.
Be well, okay?
Yeah.
All right, Eduardo.
Okay. Yeah, the whole world's going crazy.
Something.
Eduardo. Dr. Eduardo said the whole world's going crazy.
That's right. Is it with his time clock, with stopwatch in his pocket? Enough time. So I don't know if this is an answer, but someone that's following on YouTube says, I'm going to just keep right on fighting back by any means necessary, of course, just like the generations before me.
Sounds good.
But what does that really mean?
Yeah, it sounds good.
Define fight.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Good job.
How do you fight that?
Ooh.
Define fight. Yeah, seriously. So that I won't mention the person's name, but
no, T. Hudgens.
T. Hudgens.
Put it on him. Put it on him.
Hudgens. Yo, man.
The Funk Master himself.
What's that mean? You're gonna still fight. Anyhow.
What that means, man.
Yeah, I mean, let's not lose sight of the question that
I'm gonna have hope.
Yeah.
What
does that mean? Yeah, and changing more people voting. Okay, what the hell? I mean, I wonder.
I want to know what the action is going to be.
That's what
not wishful thinking, or not like, oh, I'm going to drink water. That's more than that's more than that's an action. But that's
I'm gonna get better hydrated.
Wait, I'm gonna go from 32 ounces to 64 ounces a day. That'll help me out.
I'm sorry, T. Hudgens.
Well, listen, you know what, though? I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. The activity of trying to think through this is the hopelessness that my grandfather endured.
Yeah,
when people would come in his damn house
the saddest
and just take his food.
So, I mean, and this is why I push back hard on progressives that say things like, Richard, come on, we're moving forward, we're doing better things. All these sort of pablum type responses.
Should be satisfied.
And I'm thinking, well, what the hell are you talking about? If we still have these kinds of issues today,
those are pivotal.
Then how in the hell have we progressed? I mean, I have to draw the line on this when it comes to culture in this conversation, because when I look at every single, that's why people need to watch this Showtime Everything Is All White series, because it opens with the whole idea of privilege that white America gets to exercise, and they talk about the insurrection as the modern day form of that. How many rich people were exercising their privilege in the insurrection? It was, for what people say, mostly middle class white Americans.
Yeah. That's what happens. So, what are you going to do?
That mob.
What are you going to do? I mean, listen, not to pick on T. Hudgens or anybody who feels that way. Yeah, I mean, we're all going to keep fighting, but what are you going to do?
Yeah. How are you going to be? Like, maybe add that to their second part B.
All right, Michelle's coming back with the news. 773-763-9278. Stay tuned for more of the Family Meeting.
Let's get it on. The feeling is right. Come on, baby. Let's do it tonight. I say, have some fun. Oh, yeah. Have some fun. Have some fun. Have some fun. Have some fun. Oh, yeah.
Hi, Ken Brown, KenBrownInternational.com. Keep listening to the Family Meeting.
Polaris is introducing a way for you to get empowering financial advice. Save and plan. If you are like a lot of people, you'd like to work with a financial planner, but don't know if you earn or have enough to invest. Save and Plan will allow us to work with nearly anyone from young professionals to retirees looking to travel the world. Save and Plan is simple. Just sign up to save on a systematic monthly basis, directly from your account, and gain access to a planner and our planning services. Once you sign up, Polaris gives you a customized financial plan, a real person to speak with, and information to help you make good financial decisions. Your dedicated planner is just an email or phone call away. Save and Plan offers empowering advice for everyone. Visit us at PolarisAdvice.com. Call us today at 312-951-2606 or email us at PolarisAdvice.com. That's 312-951-2606 or email us at PolarisAdvice.com. Save and Plan. Empowering advice for everyone. Securities, insurance, and advisory services offered through FSC Securities Corporation. Member FINRA SIPC. Insurance services offered through Polaris Insurance Agency, Inc., which is not affiliated with FSC Securities Corporation.
Hey, Family Meeting cousins. As you know, we've created a Patreon Family Meeting subscription and membership page to include you great listeners in our effort and give you a chance to very economically promote your business, organization, or local event. You can contribute as little as $5 per month to get your message out and support the Family Meeting as a viable voice. We know you appreciate our permanent interest dialogue, get up and dance playlist, and our great guests who stop by. So become a cousin and go to our website, thefamilymeeting.com, and click on the link.
What's the next song?
Hi, my name is Audra Wilson, and I'm the president and CEO of the Schreiber Center on Poverty Law. You can visit us at www.povertylaw.org. Hey, cousins. Now it's time for the Family Meeting News.
Hey, everybody, it's Michelle Reed here, and here's what we're following here at the Family Meeting. This week, the majority white Mississippi House passed a bill that would create a separate court system appointed and handled by only white state officials, to judge and police the residents of Jackson. Despite local voters electing judges and prosecutors, the white Chief Justice of Mississippi Supreme Court would appoint 2 judges to oversee a new district within the city. The white state attorney general would then appoint 4 prosecutors, a clerk, and 4 public defenders for the new district. The white state public safety commissioner would then oversee an expanded Capitol Police Force. Run currently by a white chief, Jackson, Mississippi is more than 80% black, and Mississippi is the poorest state in the union. Former President Jimmy Carter, who is now 98 years old, is the longest living American president, has entered hospice care in Plains, Georgia. After a series of short hospital stays, Carter decided to spend his remaining time at home with his family and receive hospice care instead of additional medical intervention. Carter has worked for decades in global advocacy for democracy, public health, and human rights via the Carter Center. The former president and his wife, Rosalind, who was 95, opened the center in 1982. His work there garnered a Nobel Peace Prize in 2002. A D.C. police lieutenant has been accused of colluding with Proud Boys leader Henry Enrique Tarrio before the January 6 riots. During the sedition trial for the Proud Boys, prosecutors presented text messages between Lieutenant Lamond and Tarrio that implied Lamond kept Tarrio in the know about police activities surrounding their investigation in the Proud Boys, like a scanner. Lamond informed Tarrio that D.C. police had his sights set on the Proud Boys leader on December the 30th. The two talked on the iPhone for 14 minutes. That same day, word spread amongst the Proud Boys that Tarrio would soon be arrested. Former Mississippi-born and raised NFL quarterback Brett Favre filed defamation lawsuits against multiple people, including sports commentator and Hall of Fame tight end Shannon Sharpe, who called him out for his involvement in Mississippi welfare scandal. Favre is accusing Sharpe of publishing defamatory statements of purported fact, referring specifically to Favre by name in an episode of his television show Skip and Shannon Undisputed. Shannon said Favre was taking from the underserved and stole money from people that really needed that money. Favre also filed defamation suits against Shad White, the state auditor who revealed that Favre was linked to the alleged fraud scheme. Favre is still trying to distance himself from his welfare fraud scandal, in which $70 million in aid for needy Mississippi families were given to rich people, including Favre.
He'll never be indicted. Nope.
Wow, I never knew that one. All right, please visit our webpage, tfmradioshow.com. You can also find us all over social media. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel to view us live. I'm Michelle Reed, and it's Family Meeting Radio time.
Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive on WCPT Willow Springs is powered by ComEd. See how ComEd is preparing for a clean energy future at ComEd.com/cleanenergy.
Hey Chicago, are you always on the go? Take the new Shy 311 app with you to find the information that you need, submit non-emergency city service requests, and much more. Download the new Shy 311 app, built with Chicagoans for Chicagoans. That's Shy 311 on the App Store or Google Play, or check it out online at 311.chicago.gov. Stay informed with Shy 311. It's your gateway to Chicago services.
We can count on Paul Vallis. When Paul Vallis was CEO of Chicago Public Schools, he revitalized our neighborhood schools. No one delivered more for our underserved young people than Paul Vallis. As mayor, Paul Vallis will ensure that communities long neglected get a fair share of city investment, attracting the grocery stores we need, improving sanitation, and other city services in our neighborhoods. Vote Paul Vallis, a mayor for all of us. Paid for by Vallis for Mayor.
This is Dr. Frank Vaught from Health on Earth Wellness Center. Our website is www.healthonearth.org. Welcome back to the Family Meeting
Tell me
Show.
that ain't the baddest bass line you've ever heard in your life.
It is.
One of them.
I was over here beating it out on my thigh.
She was.
Come on,
Under
man.
control.
I was Sheila E. in it.
Yeah, man. 773-763-9278. The question of the day, what you going to do? What you going to do when you find out that dude, the last dude y'all let get into the White House, won't be indicted? What you going to do?
Yeah.
We understand that.
Been screaming it for how long?
Long time.
Yeah, we understand that completely. Let me get Norbert calling here from Naperville. My friend Norbert. What's new, man?
Hey, Eric. It's great to talk to you. Great show.
Thank you, man.
Great topic. You mentioned Alabama during the Depression, but I think the southwest sides of Chicago have been in economic depression forever, and I blame mostly white people, especially the white progressives like Rich was mentioned, who do nothing. They don't, because their schools are okay. They don't give a damn about the schools on the south side and the west side, and they don't give a damn about. I mean, just imagine if the money that was put into Millennium Park was put into other parts of the city, like Englewood and Austin, North Lawndale. It's just a total neglect of those parts of the city, and that's the history. And at least Mayor Lightfoot has done something about it, trying to get some more investment in there. But I think the money that she's put in should be quadrupled. I mean, we need to repair the damage and do something, and not just sit on the sideline. I'm going to cancel all my newspaper subscriptions and invest that money in Rage Englewood, the Residents Association of Greater Englewood.
Great organization, by the way. Yeah. Great organization.
They're actually getting people into houses where they own the houses. I mean, we have this big thing with progressives about building low-income housing. Well, why should people have low-income housing and be forced into small rental units? They should have the income to buy the home and own it and build wealth. I don't agree with that at all, and that's what I say to progressives is, where's the progress? Where's the real progress that needs to be made to repair the damage?
Yep.
So why don't you run for office, Norbert?
I was out here in Naperville. I was I forgot the council, not the council, but the local in my precinct. I was a precinct captain, and I always had ideas of doing more or running for another offices. But my problem is I'm too nice. I'm too much of a nice guy that I just get beat up to a pulp, and And
I think we need some nice guys, man. I think we need some nice guys now.
Like Jimmy Carter. Look what Jimmy Carter did. He served the country in the Navy, atomic energy expert. He did so much for our country, and look what happened to him. Look how he was treated. And I bring up Mayor Lightfoot again. Look at what she's done. She hasn't hurt anybody. And if you look at her feeds on social media, she's brutally attacked. She gets death threats, and for what? Because she's a black gay woman. I don't see. She hasn't killed anybody. I mean, the people want to blame her for crime in Chicago. Crime has gone down. I watched the data for the neighborhoods I love, Englewood, Austin, North Lawndale, and others, and crime has dropped. And I believe it's because of the investment she's put in there. And I'm really worried about what happens if she loses. What happens to the investments? Are they just going to stop? And like Brandon Riley and his Loop precinct doesn't give a damn about the west side and the south side. And I think we need to mention those councilmen by name and say, hey, what are you going to do for the west side and the south side?
They're going to reallocate it to police. They're going to reallocate all the resources to police.
And Paul wants to bring back the retired cops who quit because Lori Lightfoot was elected. Mm-hmm. They just walked off, and I probably half of them are Nazis, and I wouldn't want them back.
Yeah,
I mean, we need police who are going to defend the community, protect the community, not police that go out and beat up people and
hurt people.
They need to be the leaders of the community, and that's what they're paid for. They're in a leadership role. They're not, and they seem to enjoy beating people up. They seem to, and a lot of it is the military training. They look at getting people out of the military into police forces, and that's not going to work.
Yeah, it's easy recruiting.
People are trained to fight and beat up people and shoot and kill people. They shouldn't be police officers.
Yeah. Hey, Norbert, I got to ask you a question, and thank you for your comments. But if you haven't, I'd like you to look up and follow a woman named Allison Longenbach. She's running for city council in Naperville. She's a friend of mine, and I had her on.
Now you're endorsing candidates, man?
Yeah, because she's doing the hard work. She's not afraid to run. Check her out. Her name is Allison Longenbach. If you want more information, just hit me offline, and I'll let you know you want to get involved with her campaign because she's running.
Is she an Allison on Twitter? One of the.
She has a website and everything, and I'll give you all the details.
Check our social media. We'll get it up there, okay?
Yeah, she's solid. She's
cool.
Someone you want to get behind. So
Norbert, we love you, man.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I love you too, guys. Have a great day and great show.
See ya.
Hi, Norbert.
Hey, so to that end, would you be okay with having her on before?
I don't know. Can she hang?
She can hang. She can hang.
Is that right?
I know she can.
I'm gonna ask her questions.
I know you will. So will I. I already pressed her on some when I had her on Jones' show.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Leaned in. She got it. She can bring it.
Okay.
I mean, I'd like to have her in the studio if we.
Folks. We ain't never had nobody leave here mad.
She ain't gonna leave here mad.
Except people who can't answer the questions.
No, I mean,
right.
and
because if I ask you a question and you don't answer it,
I'm
gonna ask you again.
Right.
I'm gonna get in you.
And then if you don't answer the second time, then I'm gonna cuss you and ask you again.
Yeah. No, all right now.
Right, we ain't moving on to the next one until you answer that one.
That third ask is gonna go. Now, damn it!
No.
Right.
No. All right now.
No.
I'm not. This ain't Meet the Press now.
All right now.
Yeah,
you can skip by
I think she's probably gonna be all right.
Because we get that. I don't know if you knew this, Michelle. We get politicians all the time that want to come on the broadcast for whatever reason, and they want to come on and they want to tell you, the topics they want to cover and questions they like to.
They want to run for office.
Yeah, I was like, I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
Well, the next question is, okay, well, what do you want to talk about then? Whatever comes to my mind that day.
Yeah.
Right. So they ain't prepared for that. They're like, yeah, we'll get back to you. They don't come.
Yeah,
that's fine. That's fine.
Too much heat
because they want to go find a place of comfort and safety.
Because what it ends up doing is the politicians that do come, that can stand up to that.
Right.
Those are the right people.
The ones that can are the ones
that come and face it.
Yeah.
Why not?
And I always go back to this. J.B. Pritzker. I mean, there's people who are dragging him to this day. He came twice. The second time he came after he did some stuff that wasn't cool about black people.
And you put him on front?
I did.
But guess what?
What?
He didn't wither. He kind of
stay right here.
He apologized.
He pressed pause and went,
Did he
"Yeah,
apologize?
what happened wasn't cool." I'm paraphrasing. Shouldn't have happened that way. Shouldn't. He owned it. Let's put it that way. He owned it, and then it was interesting because from that point, then we were able to go forward, and he realized, "Hell, I can build on this."
But he knows I'm going to ask him a question, and damn it, he better answer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care who you are. You better answer.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we can fight.
Oh,
want
yeah.
to.
We can go back
Put him up.
Wait.
We can go put him up.
We
if
can
you
do
want
that.
to.
We can clear some tables.
Move some furniture around.
Move some furniture around.
Hey, I got
we
the
got
door.
some room.
I'm watching.
Let me see what's on Bonnie's mind here. Hey, Bonnie, what's new, girl?
Hey, how y'all doing? Happy New Year.
You're my favorite Bonnie in the whole wide world.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Well, I was like with Trump. I hope him or Sanchez don't win and stuff. Cause both of them, they talk about minorities. They put minorities and black down real bad. They're trying to stop history. And also, I was going to talk about, he mentioned Paul Vallis. I heard that Paul Vallis wasn't born in the United States.
Oh.
And also, he had a family member that worked with the police department. And also, I think if he do get in, he's going to destroy the public schools.
Further than he has already.
Well, let me tell you this, in all fairness, I know Paul. Don't know him well, but I know him, and we've had conversations before. And so Paul is a data-driven dude. He is a dude also that lost every single election that he's run for. And he may say and do some things this time just to make sure he wins. Mm-hmm. But he's a data-driven dude, always has been. And I tend to like people like that, but I don't know yet if he's going to use that same skill on the fifth floor, City Hall.
Well, yeah, I've been in Chicago all my life. Yeah, I see he worked for the Park District. He tried to, I think, run for Cook County Board. Mm-hmm. He did a lot of things. He went to another state and came back here. So, I mean, he talked about the teachers union, and he so bad. I just don't have, he's not my pick. So, how he talked about the teachers union and how he hates the public schools. He's for charter schools. I mean, people can go with school they want to, but a lot of people can't get in charter school. A lot of people can't get in Whitney Young or Lane Tech. So that's why we need to keep the public schools up. I used to be a local school council at Marshall High School. Marshall High School on the west side. Back then, it was one of the baddest high schools, so they said. So, like I said, I was a local school counselor there. So, a lot of people say a lot of things. So, you put your feet in there and pull up your sleeves and be a part of the situation. You're going to hear a lot of this, that, and the other.
So Bonnie, tell me, I'm gonna leave that subject for a second. So, what are you going to do when Trump is not indicted?
Well, I have to do like Martin Luther King, continue to fight. I've been protesting most of my life, education, jobs, housing. I'm protesting with Delilah Ramirez that just went to Washington. I worked with her campaign. So yeah, I've been working with a lot of people.
Haven't we tried that though? Haven't we tried all that already?
What else you gonna do? Pray and
I'm asking the questions. I'm asking the questions, girl.
Well, that's what I'm gonna continue to do too. Pray and hope for the best, and continue to fight for our rights. What we believe in.
I don't even know what that means anymore. What does that even mean anymore?
Okay, I know, but that's I was raised be fair. That's all we ask for, to be fair. I want a piece of the pie, just like you want a piece of the pie. There's nothing wrong with that. But I know it's kind of hard when you are a minority and they don't put resources in your community. And sometimes people got to go outside the community, which is not fair. So that's why I'm trying to just continue in those areas.
I think we need to rethink that, Bonnie. I think we all need to rethink that. We're going to fight stuff again because I don't know that it means anything anymore.
Well, Martin Luther King, like they said, he fight for peaceful protesters. He had to be the last man standing, and that's how.
And he was. They killed him for that.
Well, I mean, yeah,
that didn't work either.
Nope, because we're still protesting with no end.
We're still protesting the same things that he was quote unquote fighting for. And they killed him about it.
And Malcolm, and Bobby, and Medgar.
Yeah, yeah. So don't you think about that some? Think about what I'm asking today, because we got to do something different. Because we're still talking about the stuff. Everybody, not just black people, but everybody.
And Fred Hampton.
We're still talking about the same problems, and we keep saying we're going to fight.
What's the suggestion?
On March.
What's your suggestion? I gave you mine.
There you go, asking questions again, man. This ain't your show. It's my show. I ask questions.
No, but I'm trying to tell you. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. It's like a long handled spoon. It's like, you know, being a black person, it's like you always got to fight double hard for everything: her house and job, education. I mean, yeah, it's a mental strain. But what else can we do?
Well,
like they said, a man is swimming. He's fighting like hell, so he won't have to drown.
Okay, well, let me offer you this, and we can talk about it next week if you want. The first thing you should do is rethink this. That's the first thing we all need to do. All right? We'll start there, and we'll talk about it more next week. How's that?
Okay, then.
All right, Bonnie. Love you, Bonnie.
Thanks for calling, girl.
Thanks, Bonnie.
Okay. Yeah. We got to rethink that. This whole thing, we're going to fight, we're going to vote, all that march. Pray. Yeah, thoughts and prayers, blah, blah, blah.
We need
and listen, that's not me suggesting that you should go get you a gun and shoot up the place. No. I'm not saying that either.
No.
I'm just saying you got to rethink this.
Because what's happening and what has been applied isn't working.
I don't think it's working. 773-763-9278. Stay tuned for more of the Family Beat.
Hi, this is Elise Ashby. Keep listening to the Family Meeting.
Itsashort.com. The website is itsashort.com, spelled ITSASHORT.com. We are the best designation on the internet for award-winning short film, video, and web series. Artists are from all over the world. They are award-winning from various festivals, but you can find us at info@itsashort.com, customer care at itsashort.com, and we'll get back to you straight away.
If you owe money to the IRS, they're turning on the heat this year. They're garnishing paychecks and seizing assets. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. Covington Tax Solutions will help you fight to get the best deal possible. Call Covington Tax Solutions now for a free consultation. Call 872-257-4631. Call 872-257-4631.
A single K plan is a 401k plan designed especially for business owners and immediate family, regardless if they are incorporated or not. Single Ks offer both employer and employee contributions and in many cases have no setup fee or annual plan administrative charges. Single Ks are simple to administer with no government reporting required. Most importantly, this plan allows employees to access their savings via hardship withdrawals or loans. Visit our website at polarisadvice.com or call us about your business or organization's retirement plan at 312-951-2606 or email us at polarisadvice.com. That's 312-951-2606 or email us at polarisadvice.com. Polaris provides empowering advice for everyone.
Securities offered through Lion Street Financial LLC, member FINRA, and SIPC. Investment advisor services offered through Lion Street Advisors LLC, registered investment advisors. Polaris Wealth Management and Lion Street Financial are not affiliated.
Getting up, come on, we're getting up, come on, we're getting up. Yeah, I'm sure that we can where you're going, cause sent you a message, sent you an email. Hasty decision. decisions we made still prevail. Both needed breaks, we both needed the bail. Walking through the corridors of my mind, the hideaways and nooks and things were good times. Memories certainly, yes, they still bind. Still a common man, and yeah, that's for sure. Still a bankroll, and yeah, still couture. But man, this thing that we had was much more. Come back home, don't be out in the world. It's a bad race and no place for a girl.
This is Jason Dorsey, Eric's nephew. I am on Instagram as Jason Dorsey. My music is on Apple Music as Hoodie Jace. You can follow me on Twitter at Jason Dorsey 00. Welcome back to the family meeting.
Yeah, y'all. Nice. So the question is, what you gonna do? What you gonna do, man? Right? It's meant to take you down that road that I did with Bonnie there, which is, hey man, listen, you got to look at what you've done and look at the results you've gotten. Mm-hmm. And decide what you're going to do. Well, what we're faced with now is that dude who was in the White House, who y'all let get in the White House, and who's done crimes in front of your eyes, is getting ready to walk. Happy to be wrong. Happy for y'all to give me the nana boo boo. I'm happy to do that. But it looks like that's not what the system does.
No.
And what you going to do?
Well, I don't know who has the right answer. Everybody's going to have an answer. And so if one person has an answer that's down this road and somebody has a different observation or opinion of it, that doesn't mean that person's answer was wrong. It means that's what they're going to do. Now, is it going to be more effective? We don't know the answer to that.
Kind of we do, though, don't we?
Well, depending on what their answer is.
If we look at history,
sure. Yeah, you're right about that. But so then I push back and go, okay, so it's not a question of what are we going to do. It's a question of what's going to be effective. It's kind of like my position on stop asking, let's start asking the question, why isn't 45 indicted? Why is Pence able to do what he's doing and Matt Gaetz and all these other fools? Not what, but why? Or when are they going to be indicted? The basis of Eric's question, or the people that are the basis of his question. Why is more important to me than what, when, and how. As it relates to what we're going to do or what am I going to do, if I were to take Eric's point, which he said we need to rethink, I agree with that. I'm going to start with rethinking on how I'm going to approach people that believe that the justice system is working correctly. If we suddenly have an announcement that 45 is not going to be indicted. So from that point forward, I mean, in my personal life, what I'm going to do, not much different. But as I deal with people who call themselves read in on the subject of justice and the enforcement of justice in America, I'm going to lean into them even harder. Now, will that be the answer? Will it fix the problem? I don't know if it will, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to not.
So that's the kind of thing, though, and I can appreciate what you're saying. And we're in a position, all three of us, where we can lean in because they put microphones in front of us once a week. Right. So we can lean in a little bit. But when you say that, it's one of those throwaway statements. Hey, next time it happens, I'm going to lean in a little bit, or I'm going to get a little bit more aggressive. I don't know what that looks like.
Well, I can tell you what it looks like. I mean, point to point.
Well, I mean, but not for you specifically. I'm just talking about those particular phrases that get thrown around on a regular basis.
Okay, well, let's take lean in out and say I'm going to deal more matter-of-factly and more harshly with people who come to me with the justice system works, the justice system is fine, any of those.
But to what end, though?
Why is it to what end versus what?
That's where
wind up.
I mean, right now
where are we going with that? Where do we want to be with that?
Well, then
is that enough?
It's a simple question that has layers of complication of what's going to be the right direction.
Does it though?
It sure does. Because if you ask a question to what end, then that assumes that the behavior that you take is either right or wrong.
No. What it assumes is that the person that you're leaning in on is either going to leave mad at you or leave with his mind changed.
Okay, so then
what?
So then to what end could be that the mind was changed. Their behavior was affected by you leaning in. So you then can't say to what end, because the end is their mind was changed, unless you just want to throw something else to the question. So if the goal is...
Well, I mean, but, so I think that the collective we, for instance, if we decide that voting is the answer, that means that we need everybody registered. We can't have
everybody's got
fractional.
To vote. I said this on Thursday. Everybody's got to vote.
Yeah. So okay, that's a thing, right? If there's some sort of a movement that says, listen, the fact that he wasn't indicted is because all y'all don't vote,
right?
And to solve that, here's what we're going to do, and we're going to make it easier to register. We're going to create transportation systems, get everybody to the polls. We're going to make the mail voting system a lot easier, and set a goal. We want to have 90% of the eligible voters vote.
Okay. But how's that going to affect the Justice Department doing furthering indictments? All it's going to do is bring out more people to change the end result of who gets elected, but it doesn't change.
Okay, right. So
why
the
does
candidates
voting-
we choose to vote for are going to make the difference.
Because they
have to rewrite.
But that's
right. Because the second part of my answer is we have to get different people running.
And that would then hopefully lead to different people being in the positions to implement justice. Because the core question is about justice being applied. So
you can't just have Fani and Tish doing it by themselves.
While we're getting to the point of having people vote more and it be mandatory and all that, and percentages up to 90%, I believe, well, this is what I'm going to do. I'm not trying to say everybody else should do it, but this is what I'm going to do, and here's why. With the goal being to change people's behavior, and that's hard to do. I know that. But I'm going to lean in harder in that space. Someone says to me, well, Chew, the Justice Department's great. It's doing, I'm going to lean in harder.
Yeah, but you're talking about a micro response, and I don't disagree with your micro response. I'm talking about a macro response.
Well, that's what I got. Is you start micro goes into macro. I mean, let's just put it this way. Let's just use the numbers. If we say that, data, or let's say that not so much data, but let's use the mass of numbers. If, 10,000 people in each county leaned in harder to their counterparts that think the justice system is working fine with data that says, no, it's not, and here's why, and here's what you need to do differently to
so you think people are going to change their minds?
Do I? Wait, in what percentage? Yeah, people are going to change their mind. Sure they are. But
yeah,
to what,
but in a meaningful percentage?
To a meaningful percentage. That's your question. In a meaningful way? I don't know. But I'm not going to not do something that I think could work because I don't think it's going to work.
Again, you're talking about the micro, and I get how it feeds into the macro, but I'm talking about a macro solution that someone conjures up and drops on everybody. So we're all pushing in the same direction. So if you're doing it by yourself, it's one thing. But if you create a movement where everybody's doing it,
why did I say
it's different.
That's why I said 10,000 people per county.
So how are you going to get 10,000 people?
How you going
to just corner somebody? So I'm going to corner Michelle.
I was thinking that we need to come up with a core group of people that could run in these offices, like across the United States. A really powerful group of people that can run for office and, make the changes that we need. And then we put together simultaneously, we put together the importance or the people, it's hard to get people to do stuff,
To Eric's point, though,
this is
why we have
an organization that kind of,
like a super PAC.
Yeah.
This is why we have to stop. Eric has said this for such a long time. We have to stop chipping, he says nibbling at the edges when it comes to this stuff. We have to do a full-on assault with all the tools that we have.
Yeah.
To make the change, and that can mean my piece, which is that part. The other
walk around there, dude on State Street with a microphone.
Yeah,
hey man,
preacher on the microphone on State Street.
And take this here flyer.
But at the same time, we have to do what Eric said, which is change the percentage of people that vote, make it mandatory, and in that the goal of that is to get different people running and better people elected
in both parties.
In both parties,
yes.
And to some extent, I don't give a damn about the other party, but the party that I quote represent. But we have to do all at the same time. I've said this a number of times. We can walk and chew gum when it comes to these issues. For too long.
The problem is that you can walk out of here and that won't happen.
But you
on a macro basis, I mean, we're pushing back right now. We do that. You'll do it out there. You'll do it out there. But on a macro basis.
Well, because
we need to become collective.
Right. Well, because a lot of people don't give it. That goes back to.
And that's why it's hard to change people's behavior.
I agree.
Because it just don't give a damn.
It's hard.
There's a lot of people that out there that just I don't care.
Right.
So we need them though.
That's why I think that the core of this has to start with the change has to start with who we're pushing the message to, and it's the people who are doing the least.
Is it more people on the that are not doing the? Is there more people doing the least than it is than are doing?
I don't know. I don't have.
I wish we knew that.
Well, let's go back to George. I've used this before. Let's go back to George Floyd for a second. We all said that once we get our hands around COVID, and that changes, people were going to go back to some extent what they were doing, and they have. So just to your point, Michelle, and Eric.
That's why we got Tyree Nichols.
I mean, Eric says this all the time. Not proof in the pudding, but he uses another example.
Proof of concept.
Proof of concept. That's exactly a good example of what you're talking about. People.
Let me get Frank in here, calling from Willowbrook here.
Frank.
Frank, my man, what's up, man?
Hi, how's it going? Frank from Willowbrook. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, sure can.
Yes. Thanks for having me. Two things. Trump is, if he's ever indicted and anything, he'll just be pardoned anyways by whoever the next Republican president is. So I see kind of a lose-lose for whoever wants him to be behind bars. Believe me, I'd love to see him behind bars, but that's just not how the system works, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
You know. And secondly, that one caller before who was a very avid Lightfoot supporter, Mayor Lightfoot. I know I'm from the suburbs, but I like to come in Chicago at times when I feel safe enough. Lightfoot has, I think, made Chicago worse with the way she treats cops, with never calling out Kim Foxx for her light sentences on violent criminals, with not having a rapport. You know, she's very difficult to work with and very stubborn, and I think having her around is very toxic. And, you know, there's not many good candidates to draw from. I would never want a Brandon Johnson to be in charge, but maybe a Paul Vallis or a Willie Wilson, someone who maybe supports the cops a little more, while, you know.
Did you say Willie Wilson? You said Willie Wilson,
and not a Brandon Johnson. Why not? I'm going to ask you this question, Frank. I got to go here. Why not Brandon Johnson? And I want specifics.
Brandon Johnson, because he's not wanting to grow the department. He wants to.
Which department?
Officers
the police department.
Any police, like any district in Chicago.
So, but you understand why, though, don't you? You understand why he says that, don't you?
Well, yeah, because it takes so long to become a police officer. Well, I mean, that,
no. That's not the reason why.
That's not the reason why.
That's not the reason why, Frank. Sorry.
So let me tell you why he doesn't want to go to the police department. At least that's what he's explained. It's because that police are responding in mental health situations. He wants to get more mental health people on the police department so that they're responding in situations where police are not needed.
40%, Frank, of the 911 calls in the city of Chicago are mental health calls. How in the world are you going to hire 1,600 police officers that then are going to deal with a percentile that needs science behind it, not guns and police that don't solve crimes? So Brandon Johnson does not want to grow the police department because he's afraid to, or the length of time. He doesn't see that as a solution to fixing crime and to dealing with bettering the communities at their core. He specifically has said that.
At the risk of sounding like we're endorsing him.
Yeah, but endorsing the ideas.
Well, those are his words.
Yeah, I mean, he said that.
Even if you bring a mental health officer there, or mental health, let's say social worker there, you'd still need a police officer in case if anything gets violent. As you saw like 2 weeks ago or a week ago in Aurora, there was a violent man who the cops had to shoot because they could not de-escalate him down. And unfortunately, that family will have to live with it, and that officer will have to live with it. And yes, there needs to be.
So wait a minute. Let me ask you this then. Frank. If Brandon's proposing putting a mental health person in partnership with a police officer, does that solve your problem?
That would, but he's not wanting more police, though.
Well, no, nobody wants. The point is that we don't need more police if we have more mental health problems. So we add some mental health people along with the current police. That's the point.
About those who've been involved in violent crime and their victims, and they've waited more than 45 minutes for police in certain areas of Chicago.
Listen, Frank, I'd love to talk about this more, but I think you need to. I think you need to visit the data, the 911 call data, and the crime data in Chicago, and see if the coverage of police officers is enough.
Is it adequate?
because this again, we're not endorsing Brandon Johnson here, but what we're saying is that how you're characterizing his point is not correct. Okay? Let's talk about it. Go and get Cujo and take him out for a walk, and we'll talk about it next week.
Thanks for calling, Frank.
Thanks, Frank. You got Cujo.
Got
Cujo.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. And listen, here's the thing that is concerning for me, for those who think that police are the answer to elevated crime. I'm going to ask the question I asked a few weeks ago. Point to a municipality that has added police and has solved the elevated crime problem permanently.
Mm-hmm.
Point to.
Yeah.
Point to it.
And we can look at, and here's a good example to use, and it's New York in terms of their, but anyhow, I'll stay on point, Eric. Sorry.
Yeah. That's really not the thing. And not to mention, at the risk of sounding like I'm talking Paul Vallis down, I don't mean to, but it is a little bit offensive to talk about adding police, because the police treat me differently than they treat y'all.
And it's proven that it didn't work here because they closed, Rahm closed schools, added police, and everybody's saying that Mayor Lightfoot, that the city's more dangerous since Mayor Lightfoot came. It's not what, based on
the data says.
That's not what the data says.
No, not what the data says.
No.
It's a perception that is portrayed on television.
And
I get that. And again, we're not endorsing the mayor either. We're not endorsing anybody.
But there were some critical things that happened that caused a spike in crime across the country.
Yeah, it's not.
Nobody wants to talk about that, though.
But it's all that news pornography that y'all watching, and that's getting y'all all twisted without looking at the data. Frank, we want to talk about it, man. Let's do it next week, though, man. All right, y'all. Tommy's holding for us. So is Dan. Sorry. Stay tuned for more of the family meeting.
Hi, this is Attorney Cannon Lambert. Give me a call at 312-977-1300. Keep listening to the family meeting.
A 2016 study estimated that 13.1 million Americans were victims of identity theft last year. Fight back against your identity being stolen by signing up for Identity Guard. Identity Guard monitors your credit and identity information with alerts that can help you respond quickly if certain changes indicating fraudulent activity are detected, as well as help protect your computer from viruses, keylogging, and other serious threats. Plus, with Identity Guard's dynamic credit management resources and tools, you will have helpful information as you make better financial and credit decisions. Identity Guard includes $1 million identity theft insurance and lost wallet protection, and more if you ever do become a victim. Protect your ID for as little as $6 per month. Yes, that's only $6 per month by visiting lookaftermyid.com. That's lookaftermyid.com to securely sign up for Identity Guard today.
Hey, Family Meeting cousins. As you know, we've created a Patreon family meeting subscription and membership page to include you great listeners in our effort and give you a chance to very economically promote your business, organization, or local event. You can contribute as little as $5 per month to get your message out and support the family meeting as a viable voice. We know you appreciate our permanent interest dialogue, get up and dance playlist, and our great guests who stop by. So become a cousin and go to our website, thefamilymeeting.com, and click on the link.
Kathy Gwynester, please do mylaundry.com and the Laundry Bag Incorporated. And welcome back to the family.
I had to let it go until the funk jumped off in that song, man. It was more of a folk song to start off with, then it became funky.
Well, it just goes to show how damn brilliant they were.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the change.
You got to read the book though to see where it comes from, because it's interesting where Earth, Wind, and Fire, how their creative process worked.
Okay. Is it an audiobook? Can you get it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm listening to an audiobook.
I'm gonna get it.
Yeah, I cheat, man. I listen to audiobooks.
That ain't cheating, man. I told you that last week. Stop saying that.
Yeah,
it's
I feel
not
like I'm cheating.
Michelle, tell them it's not cheating.
I just I'm in the almost at the end of an audiobook right now. Write that down. What it is.
Listen, Eric.
Write
I would
that down.
I would take someone listening to an audiobook that's learning and being intellectually curious like he is, than some people out here go, oh no, I'm too busy to read and learn anything new.
It's my life with Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Okay.
Let me get Dan calling from Chicago here. Hey, Dan, what's new, man?
Hey, what's going on, Eric? Hey, Rich.
Hey, man.
I was just commenting really back on Frank, the last call comment. He was talking about hiring police. Now, in Chicago, it's like you say, Eric, you always talk about the data. If you really Google it, the highest murder rate in Chicago is 1974.
Mm-hmm.
It was 970 murders. And then Richard Daley was the mayor. And the second highest is 1991 or either 92. It was his son. I'm not making that a coincidence. But the superintendent then, in 1974, was the superintendent of police was James Rockford. And he was saying the same thing. The problem is criminals that they arrest are back out on the street bonded out. I don't know who the state's attorney was then, but in the highest year since then in Chicago has been between 2015 and 16. I think it was only 700. That's because it was more magnified by cameras and video. So why you keep saying they hired more police? And Mayor Daley never was criticized about that then, and that's the highest murder rate, 1970. So why should now, here we are, 2023, they're still talking about the same problem? And I just wanted to make that comment to Frank. You know, it was the same problem, and where was Frank at then? I don't know what age he was in 74, but it was 970 murders.
Yeah.
And we're right now maybe 200 or 300 under that right now, and they're making a real big deal.
Yeah, I mean, the murders, period, are a problem, but the places you've seen the solution addressed hasn't involved adding more police.
There it is.
Right.
There it is, E.
Right. Yeah, they want you in jail but not educated.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It doesn't work. It doesn't. There's no proof that the prison industrial system solves crime. There's no proof of that.
Yeah, and so
I don't know. It's just a ploy that scares. I don't know.
It's designed to scare people like the folks that come from Willowbrook that have to say, if I feel it's safe to come into the city of Chicago.
Yeah, that's the
what
four-letter
it's
word they're
designed to
using
do.
these days.
Yeah.
When it
You
comes
know
to
that's the truth,
Chicago,
Dan.
it's
Right.
safe.
Yeah. Hey, man, I appreciate the input, man.
Comment. I had to make that comment.
Thanks, Dan. I appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye,
I've been
Dan.
listening to you guys about 4 or 5 years now.
You ain't got nothing better to do, man? You need to find something to do, man.
You need to call up Adrian and get you some brown liquor on Sundays.
I'm waiting for Tressa to come back.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Hot mama herself. All right, man.
All right,
Be
man,
well.
be well.
See ya. What?
I don't
know. Yeah, we got off in police again. I hate doing that, man.
Yeah, but it's part of
Let me see what's on Tommy's mind, shan't we?
Yes, we shine.
Tom, what's up, man?
First of all, let me say hey to everybody in the studio, and especially to all of those that are in the listening land. If you hear the somberness that's in my voice, it's because, you know, you wake up in the morning, you put your feet down on the floor, and you ask yourself, is this going to be the day that reality and common sense will loom large for our communities? This stuff is no longer any rocket science, period. I mean, when you look at these communities and stuff, see, the generations now don't know the splendor of Inglewood, don't know how beautiful it is. And for me to be sitting up listening to some politicians go to talking about the crime and the this and the that and all the rest of it, and then you stop and you think, well, wait a minute, I grew up in Inglewood, and now it's an outland, it's an outback, it's the jungle, it's the land of forbidden, just whatever you want to come up with, and then stop and think about the fact that there's been no investment, no nothing And you got to sit up there and listen, and you want me to listen to some politician saying that? And then what's worse is when you got people who see what's going on and don't have enough wherewithal within themselves to take that gadget that you got in your phone, in your pocket, and start asking yourself some question about your heritage, how you got here, what's your history, and as far as all of this police mess that's going on. Why is it so difficult for you to get across to individuals if the number one thing that I need to do to make sure that there's no disinvestment is to make sure that your stuff is tore up? There is something literally wrong with a human mind when you know that a certain segment or a certain part of town is where all the crime is at, but yet you don't do anything about it. This mayor now would not be in trouble if she had done anything that linked the communities together. We would not be going back and forth about what's going to happen and what our plight would be in this city if you understood the narrative that Harold Washington wasn't in no runoff. Harold Washington was a consensus candidate. How come we've never duplicated or tried to do that since then? Keep listening to the family meeting, because at some point in time you get so somber, you get so real, you pick up bricks, you want to break out windows, you want to cuss people out, you want to grab somebody and just ask them, man, are you serious? You don't see this? Goodbye.
There again, that's our weekly contribution to your community safety. We let Tommy get it out here so he's not breaking windows in your neighborhood. Listen, police thing.
I know we got off into that.
Listen, I want to know what y'all going to do. And I think it starts with rethinking that. I mean, so, I don't want to call anybody insane. But what's the saying about being insane? Right.
Same thing over. Yeah.
Right. So if we're still talking about the same problems, and I'm talking specifically about certain people enjoying the justice system is not enjoying the justice system's gaze, and other people enjoying it more. I mean, that whole justice is blind thing, is that a thing? I mean, is it a thing?
Justice might be, but those who are implementing it certainly are not.
We watch this dude do things and say things right in front of our eyes that if you did them, you listening right now, if you did them, they would have dragged your ass off to jail by now.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to investigate when it comes to him.
Yeah.
When he gave you everything.
You saw him.
We saw him do it. So now you got these police officers in that killed Tyree Nichols.
In St. Louis.
Yeah. So they pled not guilty this week.
Mm-hmm.
They pled not guilty to something we saw.
That's a joke.
We saw you take the pack of now-laters. We saw you. We looked at you. We got it on tape.
Well, and now
we
saw you pull out a baton and bust him over
Not
the
only
head
did we see it on
repeatedly.
tape. Not only did we see it on tape, you sent pictures of yourself doing it.
And
you're going to walk into court and say not guilty.
Well, that's going to happen. We knew that's going to happen, and they're going to get prosecuted. And I'm going to say, I'll go out on a limb and say they're going to get convicted, and they're going to get convicted because they should be, because we saw it. But what will be interesting to me is the speed in which it happens. That's to me is the bigger conversation. We knew they were going to plead not guilty. They're not going to walk into court before they even say guilty. They're not going to do that because they want to use the window that they can from their attorney to say this is how we can build our defense. Given that, it's the speed in which they're going to be prosecuted is what I'm going to keep my eyes on, not anything else.
You'll see the difference.
That goes to Eric's bigger question, is that what are we going to do? That leans back into...
The overlay, of course, is that every case is different, blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing, though. That Klansman cop who emptied his gun into poor Laquan McDonald...
About to be out on the street again.
That was on television. It was a big deal because there was suspense. Because what we saw happen, they were going to try to convince us it didn't happen. There was suspense over whether or not the justice system would hold him accountable for what we all saw, for what he tried to cover up.
Do you know that the day that the verdict...
Wait a minute. We didn't know for sure.
Right.
That's the point. We don't know for sure if what we see happens will hold someone accountable if they're a cop or a rich white man.
Yeah, we don't. We don't know. We never have known that. We've never known that.
Even if we see it.
And in this case, we look at the folks that killed Emmett Till. You know,
they said they did it.
Right.
And still.
And they were rich white. I mean, well, that's a relative statement. They were white men.
Back then.
That's my point about justice as it relates to economics. Yes, we get that. And, I mean, here's an example. Robert Kraft got caught literally with his pants down.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
He wrote a check. They said, oh, well, you know, he had a senior moment and didn't really. Rich white dude.
Okay, so now we don't know the rules. Now we don't know the rules again. Right?
They gave him an out.
So
because it was convenient.
If you do it, you go to jail.
Oh yeah.
But he wrote a check.
Yeah.
So even who the Bitcoin dude.
Yeah, that's debating about that.
And he wrote a check, and now he's out of jail.
Yeah. Yeah, you know.
But you got brothers who got parking tickets who sit up in jail right now.
Yeah.
Because they can't write a check.
Because they write a check.
It does something.
And so.
And then so people conflate these people who are in jail over a moving violation with hardened criminals. And because Kim Foxx decided to let them go, it's just a moving violation. I'm letting them go.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're letting hardened criminals out of jail.
Yeah. I mean, and that's why, I mean, when someone calls in from, I'm just going to say it, a suburb and starts to, you know, land-base the city of Chicago or the greater county, I'll just sit back and go, okay, you know, you need to have your data together. Don't call into any show, let alone ours, and bring some stuff that doesn't have the real true data. Just the top, that shows to Eric's point about how many people are.
Well, but listen, in fairness, it's not his fault. The news pornography really infiltrates these people.
Yeah, I'm tired of giving folks coverage on that. People are grown people. They can get up and put their key in the car and go to work and drive to work, get there safely, work, go home, and they don't have the capacity to go, you know what, I'm not going to watch that. That would be like saying, Michelle, that road over there is icy. This one's not. But because I have a four-wheel drive vehicle, I'm going to drive down that damn icy road rather than this one. I'm not giving people cover anymore as it relates. Eric, I apologize. I didn't mean to sound being an ass about that. But
you came off strong.
I'm sorry. Let me back up a little bit. I apologize.
I'm like,
man.
whoa,
but that's like, you know what? Come on. You know this as well as anybody. Turn the damn thing off. And we've said, Eric has said this a number of times. If you got a problem with something, either do something or shut the hell up.
So society feeds that. The purpose of politicians, the unstated purpose of politicians, is to keep everybody afraid, so that they'll vote for them. Mm-hmm. They're gonna try to make you afraid of something, some boogeyman, some activities going on, some group of people. There's some boogeyman, and you got to be afraid of something.
And then tell you that there's no.
And then your
That's
perception
so they can be
is
your savior.
Right, but your perception is that is actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When the reality, the safest people in the city of Chicago are white people, because the police are structured to protect white people and police black people.
And we're not going to add into that any other ethnic groups to say other people of color. No.
Well, I mean, you know, Hispanics the same way. They're police as well.
True, but to the extent of higher policing, we are. Data backs that up. But coming back to what E's last point about our structure, it is once again the structure. It's the systematic. It's the systemic across the board. We could take Chicago. We can layer it onto any other city in the country, and the same thing happens there. Los Angeles got the same problem. New York's got the same problem. Houston,
and it persists across generations. And the answer has always been add more police. And when that's happened, you haven't seen any change.
None.
What you've seen is more people in preferred neighborhoods protected from it, but you haven't seen it reduced.
And then a telescope that says, oh, but look at these. I mean, I can't go there because it's not safe. And I don't want to go, you know, that area of the city. Meanwhile, they've been the benefactors of that redirection of resources to an area that benefits their largesse.
Yeah.
That's the fact.
So what you going to do, man? That's the thing. I need to know because,
well,
I think it starts again with rethinking what you're doing.
I agree.
Because if you come out with the same old answer, you'll get the same results.
Well, if you come up with the same thinking about it, to your point, that's why rethinking is required, and a larger amount of attention and energy needs to be placed on restructuring how we go about getting these things done.
Got to have different candidates running for these offices. You got to have different candidates. It doesn't work otherwise.
No, it doesn't. And other and different means people that are actually going back to the permanent interest. They're vying for all of our permanent interests.
Yeah, we can't care which party they belong to.
At the end of the day, we really can't. We can't care, but we focused on it because one party has clearly said we ain't doing it.
Right.
The other party has limped across the finish
Right. Well,
line.
if you check history, though, that it's flipped because it used to be the party that we support now that we're advocates for what we see Republicans advocating for now.
True.
Right.
Very true.
So, and it could very well switch back.
It could.
So that's why you got to pursue ideas and permanent interests and not people or parties.
That's true.
Yeah.
But I'm waiting to see who's going to be the tip of the spear of switching it back. Because it ain't happening. It's going further away.
It'll be the limousine liberals. That'll do it.
Yeah.
The limousine liberals.
Because they'll be frightened into being that way.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point, Eve.
All right, it's all the time we have. I want to thank you for yours. Michelle, thank you so much for the news today.
Yep.
Black Asian Dude, thank you for being the Black Asian Dude.
I try.
For our white slave, you get a whooping tonight. Whoop that ass. Tune into the family meeting every Sunday at 4. I'm your host, Eric Grant.